because self-preservation also is admitting to yourself that you don't have to bear witness to every single thing as it happens. Hi, y'all. Tamara here. And I know I haven't been around as much for the last week and a half or so, but I wanted to talk to you about why and what I'm planning on doing for the rest of this month of Veda. So, let's get into it. And I'm going to be putting on my makeup while we have this talk because I want to make a few videos for this weekend, and I'm just going to do it all in a batch. Look at me being all YouTuber-ish. So, you are probably well aware of what has gone down in the past week in terms of race relations in the United States. And you're probably well aware of what was happening between North Korea and the United States. Since I am on the island of Hawaii, I felt particularly invested with the I don't know what you would call the not quite diplomatic discussions between Kim Jong-un and our president, but I found that to be really demobilizing for me, and I worried a lot because maybe these bombs wouldn't reach Washington, D.C., or maybe even the West Coast, but they could reach here. And, that's just stuff that you think about when people are discussing nuclear war on Twitter. And I don't want to come on YouTube or really much of my social media accounts and just discuss things as though business as usual, everything's cool and perfect and fine, if I am in fact an internal mess. But I also don't want to, I don't want to smear my mess all over your screen, I guess. I often don't feel that sharing the worst of how I'm feeling really helps. Do you know what I mean? It might help me feel a little better for the moment, but I'm never sure of how it actually helps the people who are listening to it. And if it does help you, or if it's more of me seeking validation for my feelings. And I don't necessarily want to do that. So I kind of ducked out of talking about anything writing related, really. If you look at my Twitter, at penpaperpad, you'll see that I retweet things about politics and things about race relations, in addition to stuff about writing. Because those are the things that I pay attention to, and that's what I'm listening to and paying attention to myself right now, Those things. And then everything happened in Virginia. And I am from West Virginia. And West Virginia seceded from Virginia during the Civil War. So, there's a lot of history there. A lot of history between the two states. And there's definitely, I would say that there's different philosophies that are apparent between the two states. But I would also venture to say that both states have issues with race. And I don't particularly like to talk a lot about or educate people about race. I'm not I'm not able to separate myself from the conversation. It emotionally impacts me. I find it exhausting and not just so much troubling as just I haven't had the opportunity to not pay attention to race. Do you know what I mean? I'm in my late 30s. Race has been impacting me all my life. Here's an example. When I was single digit Tamara and I was walking home from school and there was this older girl, she would always sit on her front porch and she would like watch whoever walked past, you know. And whenever she'd see me, she would glare at me. I'd never spoken to her before, but she looked at me so mean every single time. And I asked my big brother, you know, why does she look at me so mean? I've never talked to her. Why is she so mad at me? And he's like, well, Tamara, you know, she's not mad at you. It's just that she doesn't like black people because her dad was murdered by black people. And I said, oh. And you know, I was little, so I just accepted that explanation. Like, oh, okay, well, she hates me because I'm black and her dad was murdered by blacks. But you know, as you grow older and you start thinking about it, well, why is it that no one really challenged her on that or talked to her about how, even though it was awful that someone did that to her father, that didn't mean that all black people were bad or that all black people were terrible, or that, you see what I mean? So it was just kind of accepted that, oh, this girl hates everyone who is darker than her because of her family history. So let's jump a little bit in time. And my best friend is hanging out with her. And as such, I go to hang out with her too because my best friend and I, we were like two peas in a pod. We were all, if you found one of us, you'd find both of us. We were always hanging out together. That's just how it went. We were best friends. But then, when my best friend, and I thought that since I was hanging out with the girl who didn't like black people, that she must have, you know, she must have gotten over that, or she must have had like a breakthrough or something, and maybe she realized that with me, that all black people weren't terrible. Until my best friend told me the next time she was about to go hang out, well, let's call her Sandy. Sandy said that she didn't want me to bring you down again. You're not allowed to come. And I said, why? And she kind of shrugged, looked away very uncomfortably. And I said, oh, okay. And, you know, I let it go. Because what else was I supposed to do? What were the options? And, you know, that's just one example, but there's many of where I was made to feel other. I was made to feel bad. I was made to feel like I didn't belong. When topics of race happen in the United States and they become very, very hot topics that people are yelling about and screaming about, and they're having conversations, often I don't want to get involved with it. You know, okay, a friend of mine today, she was asking me about racism on the mainland. You know, she's from here. She's lived here her entire life. And according to the Southern Poverty Center, there's no white nationalists or black nationalists here on this island. So she really has no idea. So I was trying to explain to her about racism in the US and how it's possible to have so many people of color living on the mainland and yet to have so much racial hate and violence. And how does it work? And what's the history? And she was really coming from a place of genuine confusion because they don't have the same issues here, you know? And I feel like when she says, I didn't realize the KKK was still happening, I feel like that is genuine. But with other people, when they say, I didn't realize the KKK was happening, I always wonder, well, have you been paying attention? Have you been listening? Out here, it'd be pretty easy not to pay attention and not to listen and to not hear those stories. But when those stories are happening in your backyard, how do you not know? How do you not hear them? And as I was trying to explain to her, and she had, of course, a lot of questions, and I was trying to give her answers, and I was trying to look up some information for her and just share things with her to try to give her a basic understanding of this race issue that we have happening in the country. It was so very exhausting. And it reminded me of why I don't like to. Because it takes so much out of me. And for someone who already has to deal with race all the time, when you also then have to become an educator about race, it could feel like too much. Like I saw a tweet or something where Lady Gaga was asking people of color to tell her how white people can make things better. And I feel like she's asking the wrong people. Because how are we supposed to tell other people how to stop being racist? How to combat racism? I can tell you stuff like listen to people of color when they come to you with situations or problems or things, actually listen to them. If they're telling you that something feels racist, then maybe you should think about what you're saying, and if it is in fact racist. I can tell you that you need to challenge your friends and family and coworkers when they start dropping the N-word, or they're talking about how all Muslims are terrorists, or how all Mexicans are rapists, and how, why isn't that something that just you think of? Just like there was no book. There was no white person who was there to say to me, "No, little Tamara, this is how you deal with someone who just despises you because it's something that had absolutely nothing to do with you. This is what you do when you're confronted with that. This is what you do if you're walking down the street and someone starts yelling at you about your color and you're just trying to go and watch the game. This is what you do if you're in a class and the professor is teaching history and talking about how, really slavery wasn't that bad. And he's looking you dead in the eye. And everyone else in the classroom is just shifting uncomfortably. This is how you deal with that. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And I feel like I just had to learn how to deal with it. I had to learn how to not hate people because of how these certain people treated me. I had to learn that. And I had to learn how to deal with it and let go of it. And I had to learn how to look at people and see when they were smiling at me, but it wasn't a real smile. Or when, if I was walking by someone and they would move away from me because they're afraid of me. Or if I'm walking down the street and I hear people's car doors clicking and locking because they think that I'm going to, I don't know, I guess I'm going to jack their car. I don't know. I don't know what they think, but that's what happens. So it's like I have to deal with all of these issues that come from my race, but then I also have to educate people on how to deal with theirs and the issues that are confronted by their race. That's too much. That's too much responsibility for me to have to take on. I don't want it. Maybe at some point in the future, I'll be like, okay, I want to confront these topics. I want to talk about them in a very open environment, and let's bring our ideas together and let's do this. But at this point, at this stage, I would much rather let people who have that energy and have that focus and have that drive to do it, and I will just support their efforts. Is that selfish? I have to have a small, I just powdered all over the place. I have to have a small bit of self-preservation in all of this. Just a little tiny bit of me protecting me. Because no one else is going to. And that's why I said to the boyfriend, hey, let's go camping this weekend and let's totally unplug. Because I realize that between the two of us, we haven't actually had a good night's sleep in like 2 weeks. And we are constantly checking and refreshing Twitter to see what is the next calamity that's facing our country. What is the next thing that's happened? What's the next ball that's dropped? It's not healthy. It's not helpful. And it's not doing anything positive. Self-preservation. So, I'm going to unplug this weekend. We're going to go camping. We're going to be up in the jungle, hanging out with some mongoose. You know what I'm saying? We're going to grill things. We're going to look at the stars. And it's going to be awesome. I checked and we haven't actually gone camping there since like 2012 or something. And it's a lovely place and it's one of my favorite places to camp. So hopefully there won't be a dumpster fire of news that happens while we're gone. But if there is, I'm sure everyone will still be talking about it when we come back. And that's okay. Because self-preservation also is admitting to yourself that you don't have to bear witness to every single thing as it happens. It's okay if you don't. You're allowed to set up boundaries. You're allowed to say, hey, today I'm not doing this today. I'm not doing it. It has me behind on all of my work. I haven't been able to think about my novel or the novella I want to write or any of the things that I'm working on. Because I've been sorry that I keep bending over, but I'm looking for stuff to put on my face. Ugh, this does not look cute. Anyway, but I've been too busy thinking about like what's going on in the world and trying to bear witness to it and try to pay attention. Oh my God, I'm so hot. I feel like everything's sweating off of me as I'm putting it on. But I turned my fan off so you guys can hear me instead of the fan, but I am regretting it. Ugh. Oh no. that is not cute. Oh. Well, that's okay. I'm gonna put some glasses on, so that'll fix that. But yeah, so that's some of the things that I've been thinking about in terms of race and my personal experience with racism in the United States. And I mean, I don't know. I have so many examples, so much. And it's not like I'm saying this to you, so you'll be like, "Oh, Tamara, I'm so sorry." I don't want anybody to be in the comments section like, I don't know, apologizing for all white people or some stuff like that. That's not what I'm here for, and that's not what this is for. I'll just say, here's my truth, and here it is. And that's why it makes it difficult to have these conversations. Is I prefer having conversations about things where I am very meticulous and I'm not incredibly emotional. I feel like for certain people, oh man, I meant to use my Morphe palette. Oh, that's why this isn't looking the way I want it to. I'm using the wrong makeup. Well, oh well. But I feel like some people, they use your emotions as an example of why your argument is weak and how you are a bad at debating or talking about issues. And this is just one of those things that I can't sound totally unbiased about. Did my camera just die? So anyway, this is all to say that I'm back. I got stuff to talk about. I'll be talking about the writing. I'm going to feel refreshed after this weekend and ready to go. If you want to see more of me, you can follow me on Twitter. You can follow my Facebook page. You can certainly follow my newsletter. Those links are always in my description box, by the way. And my newsletter comes out once, sometimes twice a month. And I'm going to be having some very exciting writing news coming up in the next few weeks. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And if you want to be a beta reader for Blood Roses and Honeysuckles, let me know, because I haven't sent out my betas, the stuff yet. I thought I would by now, but like I said, I just haven't been in a very good mental place to get my work done. Well, let's go. Alright, well, I am going to go. Oh, man, that looks awful. Oh, it looks like I'm going to have to redo my makeup anyway. Look at that. Ugh. Alright, I'm going to go. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.